welcome back. I know, team, we've talked about the impeachment stuff for quite a bit today. I don't want to spend too much time on it. There's a couple things I wanted to throw in the mix. Then we'll move on to some other stuff too that I did not get to before. One is the clear theatrics of this Vindman fellow. I mean, he really is auditioning for an MSNBC contributor role. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Here is what he said. He's testifying about this in front of Congress, and break out the world's smallest violin for this guy. Play it, please.
Dad, I'm sitting here today in the U.S. Capitol talking to our elected professionals is proof that you made the right decision 40 years ago to leave the Soviet Union and come here to the United States of America in search of a better life for our family. Do not worry. I will be fine for telling the truth.
Oh. Why are we even hearing about this? Why is he bringing up his father? Who's talking about? What is this? This is ridiculous. Oh, we can't know who the whistleblower is. This guy's going to tell us about, his life story and his family history and break out the handkerchiefs for all the tears and the whole thing. And, Mr. President, I don't dance. His Jack Ryan moment. And how dare you come in here and bark at me like some kind of junkyard dog? I am the President of the United States. Sorry, Mr. President, I don't dance. The old Potomac two-step, Jack. It's the best scene in that movie, man. It's great. There's that clear and present danger. So much better than the Jack Ryan Amazon show. Somebody should really find the Jack Ryan Amazon people and be like, you need to talk to Buck Sexton. He'll help you so your third season doesn't stink, because right now your second season's garbage. Anyway, so yeah, we when I talk to you about the theatrics and stuff from Vindman, I mean, I'm just referring to what exactly was going on here, which is Vindman is like, oh, look at me, I'm speaking the truth about this. In some ways, Vindman was really the origin of this whole thing, right? He clearly told somebody who concocted the whole whistleblower scheme, but Vindman was the one who was like, I'm so troubled by this, because he was upset that there would be a lack of bipartisan consensus on Ukraine policy. I do think it's worth pointing out as we go through this, who really cares that much about Ukraine in this country? I mean, let's be real here for a second. I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but this is not a core national security interest of the United States. It's just not. But, Ukraine policy, if we get it wrong there. I mean, Obama got every foreign policy question wrong for all 8 years. Wrong on everything. Wrong on Libya. Wrong on Syria. Wrong in Iraq. Wrong in Afghanistan. Wrong. Just go through a country. Was anyone, oh my gosh, Obama's foreign policy decision-making is not within the interagency consensus? Who cares? We're all supposed to care. We're all supposed to think that this is great. Anyway, let's switch into. Oh wait, no. There's one more. My man, jacketless Jim Jordan. He had a moment where he got to expose once again that someone's lying, and I think we all know Schiff is lying, but someone's lying about the whistleblower and knowing the identity of it. Because here's how that would play. Jim Jordan, please.
Mr. Jordan, on call readout, certainly after the first call, there were probably a half a dozen or more people that I read out. Those are people with the proper clearance and the need to know. In this case, because of the sensitivity of the call, and Mr. Eisenberg told me not to speak to anybody else, I only read out, outside of the NSC, two individuals.
Two individuals.
Das Kent and one other person.
And you're not willing to tell us who that other individual is?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
The gentleman suspend. Counsel.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask you to enforce the rule with regard to disclosure, with regard to the intelligence office.
Thank you, counsel. As I indicated before, this committee will not be used to out the whistleblower. That same
Mr. Chairman,
necessity
can you first stop the time so I don't lose the time?
Will persist. You are recognized again, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see how this is outing the whistleblower. The witness has testified in his deposition that he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. You have said, even though no one believes you, you have said you don't know who the whistleblower is. So how is this outing the whistleblower to find out who this individual is?
Jordan, This is your time for questioning. You can use it any way you like, but your question should be addressed to the
And I'd like
witness.
to-
And your question should not be addressed to trying to out the whistleblower.
Well, okay.
Notice how Schiff can't answer that question. Schiff is ruling on this. They're giving this witness some kind of special immunity from answering a question based on the premise that it could be outing a whistleblower that they say they don't even know who the whistleblower is. Now, we're not idiots. Clearly, what they are trying to do is just create a fig leaf, create a facade of not knowing that what happened here was Vindman was all like, oh my gosh, he brought up Biden. We got to protect Biden. Biden is going to bring back the establishment, and he'll be great for this country. And he talked to one of Biden's little buddies in the deep state. Reportedly, this fellow Eric Swalwell, but we don't know officially. And then the whistleblower must be the person that was told about the call. And then he came up with this idea of, well, I'll use the interagency process and go to the inspector general and maintain anonymity through it, and that way we can talk about this and not worry about leaking classified information, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, that's why they won't tell us who he told about the phone call. And the claim that this person had a need to know, I can't know because I don't know who the person was, but I would almost certainly tell you that is false. Almost certainly tell you that is a lie. Now, need to know is always, there's a bit of discretion and gray area. Well, who really has a need to know? You got to have the clearance. That's the legal groundwork for this, right? You can't tell someone something classified unless they have a clearance for that level of information. But beyond that, need to know is always but I'm telling you, in reality, they got to have a need to know. He's like an anti-Trumper, and Vindman knew that he'd get all spun up about this and that they would come up with some scheme to use this as a grounds for impeaching the president. I mean, impeaching the president's a really big deal. It's a really big deal. They're going to do it on this? These people are out of their minds. All right, there was some left in the cutting room floor from before that I wanted to get to here on this stuff. But let's talk about Democrats and their crazy oh, wait. Hold on. There's one more thing. Speaking of those who talk to us like we're idiots and like we can't figure anything else out, CNN hired Andy McCabe, the former acting FBI director who was at the center of all these shenanigans with Comey and the special counsel and getting all the Russia collusion nonsense laundered through the FBI and the DOJ to make it seem like it was legitimate. McCabe lied under oath multiple times. He lied about leaking that not only he was guilty of, but also that he was blaming subordinates for. That's the kind of guy he is. How dare you leak the information that I actually secretly leaked myself? You're lucky I don't fire you for doing the thing that I actually did. That's who Andy McCabe is. So before they do the whole, he's America's last best Boy Scout, he's amazing. Enough about that. But CNN hired him right away because if you're hashtag resistance, you can go to CNN and they'll pay you and they'll take care of you, and that's what goes on over there. But here's what McCabe says about the folks in the federal bureaucracy and the way that it's just never about politics, he tells us. Play 20, please.
We don't know in the FBI. We don't ask each other our political beliefs. We don't talk about political issues. I think there is, of course, no deep state. There is no resistance within the bureaucracy across the government agencies pushing against this president. But what there is in that bureaucracy are thousands and thousands of men and women who are committed to the rule of law. And we now have an administration that frequently finds itself bumping up against those laws that we rely on to govern this country. And so when people across government stand up for those rules and point out those transgressions, we see how they're treated by this president and by his administration.
Nice sanctimonious monologue going here. What are the laws that he brushed up against, by the way? What are those laws? Laws like the one that Sally Yates said that was being violated when she refused a lawful order from the president, and then the Supreme Court had to say, actually, acting attorney general, maybe learn what the statute says before you decide you're not going to do something because you don't like it. Who's really lawless? The people who And it must have been a small circle, and it was Obama appointees, most likely, folks, who leaked highly classified information about General Flynn's phone call to the Washington Post in an effort to take him down. That's a felony. So who are those? Are those people who are just trying to do their best to obey the rule of law and the thousands and thousands of men and women? What about Andy McCabe? Why would he lie under oath to the Inspector General of the FBI? I thought, Andy McCabe apparently brushes up against the law. Isn't that weird? He has problems staying within the law as the FBI director. I am FBI agent. You've never seen Point Break, have you?
I have not.
Dude, you are totally missing out. Keanu Reeves, Beto O'Rourke. Sound a little bit alike.
I prefer Jack Bauer.
It's probably a better show. So anyway, you got Deep State McCabe telling you there is no deep state. What a surprise. By the way, he's got to get criminally prosecuted, folks. He lied under oath. They're going to go after Roger Stone. They got to go after McCabe. You know, when it comes to criminal law, forget about the whole cultural wokeness, social justice stuff for a second. I mean, you know, do we have to live under the rules that they make? Well, that's really hard because they change the rules all the time. We can't allow that with criminal law. The law is going to be the law. That's the way this is going to have to go. But I love CNN bringing on McCabe to talk about the absence of the deep state is just like CNN this past weekend bringing on Dan Rather, the original king of fake news for using falsified documents to try to throw a presidential election. They use him to talk about truth and accuracy in the media. These people have neither a sense of shame nor a sense of irony.
His inability to say words sometimes worries me tremendously. He is having trouble word finding when he said United States instead of United States. These aren't words, these aren't slips of the tongue. These are words he can't find them, and this is happening over and over again. Comedians joke about it, but it's not a joking matter. I think there is a neurological issue that is not being addressed. And if he had an MRI of his head over there, I would be very pleased, because I think he needs.
CNN puts on air here. This is amazing. You really cannot make this stuff up. CNN puts on air a doctor, Dr. David Shiner, who was apparently Obama's former doctor, I see here on our sheet, who is giving life once again to the theory that Trump is insane. I mean, actually, like, not of sound mind, is either senile or suffering from dementia or has gone crazy. You know, they tried this against Reagan too, by the way. You'll remember that. That was what they were saying about Reagan. But now they're saying it about Trump. At what point do you think they feel silly running the playbook so many times in a way that it's so obvious what they're doing? Right? They're once again, here we are with, maybe we got to remove Trump with the 25th Amendment. You know, they're starting this whole thing again based on slurred words. If slurred words are going to be taken as evidence for a doctor to diagnose from afar, which is, by the way, not a smart thing to do, on national TV, on a cable news network, if slurring words is going to be a problem, what do they think of Joe Biden? Well, that's gurgling Gurgen, but, you know. I just want to know, why don't they have somebody on CNN diagnosing Joe Biden's mental health? Forgets where he is, says really stupid things that no one can believe how dumb it is what he said. I mean, you know, confuses things that are not close together. I mean, really? No, only Trump. But CNN's unbiased. Only idiots really believe that now. There's a mentality among the CNN audience that I'm familiar with where they like to think that the people they're watching are the smart, good people, and therefore they're the real journalists. So they know that there is really no Santa Claus, that CNN is a partisan organization. It is a wing of the Democratic Party now, and it does Democrat left-wing bidding all the time, all day long on air, but they still like to cling to that pleasant fiction that maybe they really are just journalists over there. So the CNN audience will never flee from them because they're doing what they want them to do. They're playing out this myth in real time that CNN is the real, honest, good place where the journalist stuff happens. But this whole impeachment farce, unfortunately, is going to. Oh wait, we got Senator Patrick Leahy here talking about how there's witness intimidation with the tweet. Is that what this is? This is going to be amazing. Play clip 10, please, if you would.
And if I could ask you, how do you think the impeachment inquiry testimonies are going?
Well, the closed doors had both Republicans and Democrats there. I think some of the Republicans thought they could fool the press by claiming we want to be in that room. Well, of course, there are Republicans in that room. And I think it stopped the theatrics. Go down. This is a very serious thing with the things the ambassador, what she said the other day, and then have the president tweet to try to intimidate her. I was a prosecutor for 8 years. I know what intimidation.
What did you think when she said that she felt threatened by that call?
When I was a prosecutor, I would have called that witness tampering.
As a prosecutor, I was 8 years, and I know what witness intimidation is.
These politicians, they really, some of them they'd be doing all of us such a favor if they would, give it up, go spend time with their families, go help out in their communities, volunteer, do stuff where you don't have cameras on you all the time.
I've been mumbling for 50 years. I'm going to mumble for another 50 years.
No serious legal analyst with any intelligence whatsoever really thinks that it was witness intimidation for the president to tweet out that this person is bad at her job. That's an opinion. If the president no longer has First Amendment rights because someone is going to testify against him, I'd like to know how they're going to actually enforce these rules. But there is no universal applicability of the rules Democrats are always applying against Trump. It's never, okay, the standard we've created for him is now going to be the standard because it's either so in violation of legal and constitutional norms that it would be preposterous, or even beyond that, they just have no chance of realistically speaking, they have no chance of using it as a means to test their own side. They just won't do it. So anyway, I find, Senator Patrick Leahy, man, Democratic Party's not sending us their best, that's for sure. Or maybe this is their best, the people who are the most morally pliable, dishonest, and just the relentless stop-at-nothing pursuit of power. I suppose the Democrats have stacked their roster with people who fall into that category, and maybe that makes them happy. Colin Kaepernick is making headlines again. So this guy, from the people that I know, I have brothers who know a lot about football. I don't know that much about football. My producer Mark, you know about football. What is the Kaepernick situation here? Just bring everybody up to speed for a moment. What is this guy doing now?
Like what happened recently?
Like what is this thing?
So last week around Tuesday, the NFL said they were going to give him a workout, and a lot of people think that it was part of some sort of settlement between him and the league. So Saturday was supposed to be the workout at the Falcons facility. That's the team in Atlanta. For those people who are not too up on football. And they couldn't agree on basically Kaepernick wanted his own film crew there, but the NFL was just going to use the Falcons film crew and then distribute it to everybody, all 32 NFL teams. Kaepernick didn't like that. He wanted an independent film crew, and he wanted it open to the media. So he ended up doing his own workout an hour later than the NFL's mandated workout at a high school. Open to the media and all that.
What do you think was this just for the spectacle? Why?
I think it's just two parties that can't agree on anything. Two that wanted to one-up each other.
Does anyone really even think that this guy would come back in the league? And wasn't he?
I don't think he wants to come back in the league at this point. I think this is all a spectacle.
I don't even understand how this guy is managing to still be in the news cycle the way that he is. I know he's wokeness and social justice, and he's created this whole a character of that the TV that the TV viewing audience, I suppose, is interested in, and he's now something of a martyr for social justice because he took a knee. Did wear pigs in cop uniform
He did
on
do
his
that,
socks,
yes.
so I haven't forgotten about that one. But here we could hear from we've got a Kaepernick clip somewhere along here. Where did he go? Let's hear what this gentleman has. He'll play it.
I've been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years. We all know why. I came out here, showed it today in front of everybody. We have nothing to hide. So we're waiting for the 32 owners, the 32 teams, Roger Goodell, all of them to stop running. Stop running from the truth. Stop running from the people. We're out here. We're ready to play. We're ready to go anywhere. My agent, Jeff Nally, is ready to talk to any team. I'll interview with any team at any time. I've been ready. I'm staying ready. And I'll continue to be ready.
What if he's just not good enough? Does that ever factor into the what if he's gotten a little older, a little slower, and he's actually just not good enough, and he's a prima donna and will be a big pain in the neck for any team to deal with? Isn't that possible, producer Mark?
Yeah, he's not a good enough NFL player to be warranting that kind of distraction in the locker room. If he was Tom Brady, if he was Aaron Rodgers, a player to that level, a Hall of Fame type player, any owner would sign him because winning is everything. But Kaepernick isn't that great of a quarterback to have the distraction that it would be at this point in the locker room, and the potential that you have half the locker room that won't agree with him and half that will agree with him, and that'll fracture a locker room, which kills the season.
And wasn't there a player recently who was like a troublemaker and someone signed him and they had to get rid of him right away? I forget what this was.
Oh, Antonio Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened with him?
Well, the Patriots are a different animal. You know, Belichick keeps a very tight ship, and Antonio Brown's a little bit of a mental case, but he's a great player. But they released him immediately because he wasn't conforming to Patriot standards.
Right. So he came in and he was like, I'm going to do it my way. And they were like, you're out.
Yes. And now there are also rape allegations against him.
Well, that's a big deal.
That's the other reason. Nobody has signed him since.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I knew there was something going on there. Oh, but we got to switch gears here. Because I promised we'd talk about this at the top of the show. Fartgate. Dun, dun, dun. It's a thing. It was blowing up on social media last night. It was shaking the room, even. I know. It was explosive. This was MSNBC's Chris Matthews talking to Eric Swalwell. Is this childish? Is it worthy of the Buck Sexton show to discuss this? I don't know, but it was a big news story last night. I don't make the rules. This is how the exchange went. Audio on, my friends.
Taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help them cheat an election.
It's so childish, I know. It's so dumb. Oh, man. It came across loud and clear, though. We all know what that was. We all know what it was. And then you had the, amateur detectives, the various sleuths online, who were all taking to social media to indicate whether it was whoever smelt it dealt it, or whoever denied it supplied it. Swalwell, if you look at the video, he kind of pauses for a second, and so people initially were suggesting that was the moment of recognition, that he just let one rip. He just let a stinky sneeze go on air. And then people were saying, but no, it might have been Chris Matthews that did this, because Chris Matthews was then I don't know. You get the lav mic, the LAV mic. Would it pick up that ambient noise? But that was on a national TV hit. And I can tell you that some things, things do happen when you're doing live TV. I'll never forget once Judge Janine Pirro, who's great, a lot of fun. But she had me on her show, and she was wearing a dress, and I was wearing a suit. And under the lights on that show, I'm telling you, it was like 105 degrees. And I started sweating and sweating and sweating. And every time they would go away from me to her or a clip, I could see in the monitor, and I would just take flop sweat off my forehead and just fling it across the room, because it looked like I was in the midst of some kind of panic attack. I was actually just really hot because it was really hot on those lights. So stuff can happen. But Swalwell is not going to live this one down for a while. I will say that noise was really a perfect soundbite encapsulation of his abandoned primary campaign. So there's that. Producer Mark, do you have a theory on whoever supplied it, denied it, or whoever smelt it, dealt it?
Just by his face, it was him.
You think so, right?
I've made that face before, many times.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it in like a quiet room with a lot of people in it?
You know where I've been
It's
told,
happened to me a
where
lot.
I've been told by friends
Oh.
it can happen sometimes? In the gym.
Oh, that's bad.
But also you figure, so I'm told, that if you're in the gym, people are going to have headphones on. But let's say you're in the gym and everybody has headphones on and you think you're safe, and then you were to just relax and let nature take its course there, and you engaged in your own aerosol bombing of your athletic facility, and then you perhaps see a beautiful woman in her late 20s or early 30s working out near you who does not have headphones on because she prefers to just listen to the music coming over the PA system. Then you have to think in your head,
she's a psychopath.
But did she hear or not? And that can be troublesome for some people, I'm told.
Some people just working out, you can't help it.
I will say I have a couple friends
it.
who are yoga instructors, and it is known that once you kind of get you get that energy flow going, you got to let it all flow. And that can mean stuff happens in there. So, see, we're all adults here. It's nature. It's no big deal.
It happens.
It happens. But neither me nor producer Mark, we are very gentlemanly in the Freedom Hut in here. So this is not some zoo. We don't allow things to get crazy and uncouth.
We're too close.
We're
close together.
We're close quarters in here, so we got to keep it clean. All right, roll call's coming up.
It's time for roll call.
Facebook.com/Buck Sexton or teambuck@iheartmedia.com. There we go. Now let's get to it, shall we? Chris. Buck, shield time, my man. I hear you and the others say the rot in the FBI is limited to the top. I used to think so too, but I'm having serious doubts. Any organization that relies on handwritten notes and refuses to record interviews, except wiretaps and secret recordings, of course, as the norm is suspicious. An organization that made its bones going after the mafia with tangential crimes like tax evasion has embraced the win in any way necessary. That is their mentality. I'm not defending criminals, but this approach, where did it go? I just lost it. This approach has changed the character of the FBI. It's no longer about criminal intent. They'll go after people for lying or any number of tactics to secure a conviction. I'm not saying this is always unwarranted, but I believe this core attitude is so pervasive, it corrupted the entire organization and corrupt and political top officials. You're looking at the beginning of something terrifying. Chris, I do think, unfortunately, especially at that level of the FBI, or rather at the FBI level, so federal crimes, there is a common mentality of we want to put wins up on the board. You got to get collars, as we see in the NYPD. You got to get convictions against people, and that mentality of putting points on the board can influence decision making about things that can have a really big effect on people's lives. So, yeah, there we go. Let's see what we have here. Kristen. Men at Work are definitely Aussies. They were my favorite band of the 80s. Yes! The Buck is right even when he doubts himself, because the Buck should not doubt himself. That is for sure. Robert writes, Men at Work is an Australian band, and their best song is Down Under. Oh, yeah, that's right. So there's Who Could It Be Knocking at My Door? And then there's also I Come From a Land Down Under. That's why I thought Men at Work was Aussie, because they're definitely Aussie. And something about a Vegemite sandwich. That's in there too. Can you hear the thunder? Come on, producer Mark. Sing with me, babe. Let's do it. You gotta
Did you just call me babe?
You know what I mean.
I mean, I know we're close, but this is... This is a
I was
new
in
level.
the rock star. I'm in the rock star mode. I'm trying to get the crowd of one fired up in here. All right, fair enough.
Didn't you take the harassment course that the company gave?
That's a fair point. Julia writes, Buck, awesome show yesterday. A friend of mine who also indulges in the Buck Sexton show said that Netflix's War Machine with Brad Pitt was based on General McChrystal and his staff's shenanigans. Shields high. Is that true? I didn't know about that. And thank you so much, Julia. Thank you for listening. And I haven't seen Brad Pitt War Machine. I'm really behind on my shows because I have to go home after the Buck Sexton show every day and write for hours and hours to put out this book on crushing commies that I'm going to be releasing for all of you probably in January or February. Yeah, it's coming soon. So I don't have a ton of time for the shows because right now I got in the queue The Americans, Peaky Blinders, latest season. There's some other stuff that I want to see although I will say at night I've been watching this Netflix series on World War II. It's like World War II in color. It's pretty good. They do a good job. They do some of the major events. I mean, I know all the stories already, and I've learned very little new stuff, but it's pretty good a little bit. Well, I enjoy it a little bit. I don't know what it is, but watching like World War II movies before you go to sleep, actually, it's as crazy as it is. I don't know what like watching the old footage and stuff. It just kind of like zones me out, and then I can go to sleep easily. So sometimes I watch the most cataclysmic battles of all history, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know everything will be okay in the world, so I guess I can go to sleep. Here we go. Michael writes, Buck, Willow was a great movie, directed by Ron Howard and story by George Lucas. It is one of Val Kilmer's top 3 roles, Doc Holliday being number 1, of course, in Tombstone. Back in the 80s when kids' movies were a little dark, it deserves a rewatch. Shields high. Michael, I don't know about Willow, man. It has some cool sequences in it. I will give you that. But I'm sorry. To me, it is very much right out of the Lord of the Rings universe. So you got to see. Let's see what we got here. Michelle, right? Buck, I got some great responses and private messages for thanking me for referring you. And you indeed have some new members of Team Buck. And then, let's see what we have here. I can continue making clips with you. Thank you for your work. Continue to fight on. Thank you, Michelle. Please continue posting clips and spreading the word about the show. The single most helpful thing you can do for us here in the Freedom Hut is that. Tell people about what we've got going on here. Tell them about this show. Tell them to watch this show. Here we go. Skip. I'm dismayed to suggest the lack of effective law enforcement in the major sanctuary cities is not a new occurrence and will tragically devolve into a similar outcome. California in the mid-1800s, as a result of the gold rush, collapsed into veritable lawlessness in which the police were either totally ineffective or unwilling to enforce law and order. This set the scene for statewide vigilante retaliation on the part of disgruntled citizens. There were many labels creatively describing these loosely organized groups. One was called the Safety Committee. Law enforcement in my town is in a downward spiral, and outraged citizens are demanding change. The town council voted recently to create a safety committee with an emphasis on volunteer neighborhood watch. Perhaps a necessary solution, as our police are proving to be ineffective. But it is a slippery slope to vigilante violence. Shields high. Well, Skip, I don't know what town that is, but I hope everything's okay, man. Thank you for writing in, and sorry about the difficulties that you are facing. Ronnie, Chick-fil-A caving to the LGBT. Can you check this out? Yeah, Ronnie, we talked about it on the show. So I'm a step ahead. The Buck delivers. Boom. Somebody also wrote here, Gina. Hi again, Buck. Slapshot stars Paul Newman and a few other 70s stars you may or may not recognize. Excellent hockey flick pre-Mighty Ducks. Enjoy. Shields high. Clearly, we got another vote for Mighty Ducks here.
Yeah. And that's bad on me not realizing it was Paul Newman with Slapshot.
No. I mean, I didn't see it, so I can't hit you on that one. William writes, Are you available to chat? I don't know. Probably not. Thanks for writing that message. I don't know what that means.
That's another Buck's bad at technology. That's if somebody's on your page, they can click that probably accidentally.
Oh, okay.
As if you're a business.
Oh, because I'm a business. That's true. I'm a business of Buck. Help spread that business. Tell people about it. iTunes, every day, 3 o'clock Eastern. Download that show. Listen to it. Best podcast out there. All right, team, shields high.